That's funny. Wake up, wake up. You're no kidding.
They're up front. Now let's give a warm Curiosity Club welcome to Severin Villiger.
Well, I'm not going to say too much to start up with. I'm actually going to start the first animation here and kind of give you an idea why I do what I do and how the whole thing actually came into place here. I think that's the full screen. So I have been doing a lot of research lately on, or since a few years, about the old times. And as you see, the time it's clocking, it goes. It's actually an original remake of a station clock. And as time goes by, certain things are going to disappear out of life. Certain things we just take for granted throughout time. Suddenly we just have a few images or memories left. And it kind of gets blurrier and blurrier as time goes by, and suddenly it is forgotten. There is a lot out there, whether it's through mostly what I'm going to be focused on, engineering and architecture, where we just take it for granted to see it on a daily basis. And suddenly, yeah, things happen, things get scrapped. Oh, it's over. And there is definitely a lot of things can be lost as time goes by. Now, for the ones that are curious where I'm from, I have two hints. That one here. That's another one. And this one here. So if somebody thinks I'm from Sweden, you're wrong. This is actually, I just finished off that one 2 days ago. I stumbled across an old documentary. I'm like, oh, I remember seeing that. So more or less everything you see in this presentation or in this slideshow was actually existing. And there's a lot of graphic design elements included as well as the rolling stock. So they actually had a cow called Lovely, which was a big campaign for the milk industry back home. And they actually call it Milk, the natural energizer. And he was officially the fastest cow in the country. one thing about this image as well, I didn't realize until I actually did the rendering, is that in the background you see the old color scheme of the Swiss Federal Railway, which officially became to an end of last week, when the last of these carriages rolled into the works to get repainted. So the end of the green trains back home, it's done. That's what I grew up with. So it's kind of like, oh, so that's where I come into the game. So I do a lot of these elements. This one, it's not. This one, it's in the scrapyard. It's not existing anymore. Actually, never saw that one. Although like Switzerland, it's pretty small. It's a sixth the size of Oregon. But in this car, it could get only, well, as it says, cheese. So fondue, Rock 72, the cleanup after the big fire. That actually was the big thing that really blew my mind when I did the recreation of my old hometown train station. This is a station I grew up with, really ugly. It was there for about 15 years. They wanted to actually set another standard with Calatrava, the star architect who did parts of the new structure. But how did that thing really look? This is a sad image, 9:03 in the morning, station clock stopped running, big fire, which is, after talking to a lot of historians, still a mystery. Why did it burn so quick? The station, it's too small, we need a new one, but it's a really nice building, so we do not want to tear it down. So it's still kind of in the limbo even after 20 years. How did this fire start? Curiosity killed the cat, I guess. Not yet. How did I come up with that idea? Images are really rare. There are not that many images alive of that station. Most images were done after the fire. That's the archive of the town. Yeah, that's really all. There's not that much left. I got in touch with the city of Lucerne to get plans. They sent me a few images, 4 to be exactly, and a floor plan. So I mapped it out and kind of figured out how that looked like. This is how the station looked like. It was probably like the 8th wonder of the world. It was really next to another bridge that burned down as well. I don't know what's with my hometown, everything burns down. But they want a new bridge now. It had this big, huge dome, and when I was 5 feet high, and I walked through the old station, I also asked my mom, why do we have such a crappy train station? And my mom had always tears in her eyes, and now I know why. So I did not only the exterior, I actually explored the interior as well. So the front was all carved, that's from 1896. So that's the Swiss flag, the flag of Lucerne on one side. And this is how it looks like nowadays. The new station in the background, modern, again, one state of the art. It's the only architectural train station that has no obstacles when you arrive at the train. You see across the bay and you see the old town. It is pretty, but not as pretty as the old one. This guy, it's still there. That was probably the toughest one I had to model. No, I didn't have to model. I model more mechanical things and not kind of organic things. So these things actually killed me. It doesn't have a head, and there is a reason why. There's some interior views of that station, so pretty much anything. It's wood and stone, the big entry hall with the flooring pattern I got from Lucerne, so the different marble they use, so it is scale 1:1. Don't ask me what font they used for this clock in the background, I don't know. And bridges are definitively not really getting any younger, so I recreate these scenes. I'm in the work in progress of this one right now. Another southern Italian station, Bellinzona. This one, it's in the works as well to actually get the whole environment built and do an animation through the time period. not only little ones, I do as well small, just architectural elements. Even the smaller ones, they're really rare now to find. They're getting broken down. So these as well, this is actually from a project from a railway line. I got the plans that was supposed to be built in 1910. It never was created. There was a third party kind of disagreement. And so I came up with the idea to build a 15-mile-long line with all the stations and all the environment. This was actually a work in progress as well to see how it would look like if it still would be in order, with new architecture, new environment, and so on. What I'm going to focus on here is that little guy here. That's where the mechanical geekness comes in, with all the gears and everything. So it's for 4 switches that you have a lever and pull it down. I'm in the work right now to recreate that old switchyard, which is now a historic monument as well. The old bells in the front were belling when a train went by, or they're long gone as well. Now we just have this annoying bus, it's turning. Bus is turning. I don't know what train it has that, it's annoying, but yes. Do we get dumber and dumber? I don't know. But this is the interior as it stands right now. So every of this lever is coordinated with a switch that virtually then changes the switch in the yard out there. Still work in progress. So when I'm bored, I'm going to keep on working on that one. This one, 1918, I'm going to show a short animation about that one. So this is most likely all we have left are images. And I talked to a historian who did movies in the late 60s. And he kind of told me that the reason why there's not that much footage, first of all, camcorder. Imagine the file sizes of these things. Usually the computers start to hate me. I don't know why. So these are the plans I get. The historic SBB by now name because I always spoke them about something. SLM was the big firm that produced pretty much anything back home. By now, well, the guys in the archive. These are the plans I get. So they have all the dimensions on. So I take these, then grab them into AutoCAD. So you bet. I want to see that next time. This is an exploded kind of axon of just a rough model with the wireframe. So each of these elements are taken apart. So when we saw that animation going by, so these actually have to be individual elements, so they can move, they can be coordinated, so that when you actually grab it and move it, that everything goes. So you have to figure out the difference and how many times it goes around per meter. So yeah, welcome to metric system, everything is in meter here. This is it put together to just kind of see. One of the next stages, which I actually want to do, is taking these and getting a 3D printer and then actually build them. So does anyone know the Lionel trains? Some of you maybe. So that's my next idea, to actually have them also O-gauge running and ready. Get a 3D printer, you're going to see me for a long time. This is another one. This is probably a little bit better one. It's an interesting story about this one build. Images are around of that. There's a history of this one. It used to be the first gas turbine on the world in a So I don't know if I have it in. I might have to take it out. No, there it is. So each single blade of that turbine is in there. This one was well built per plan, so every bolt is in there. Actually, I had to take them out because it just looked like a science project. This one, just a basic carriage. So some of them, one thing is as well that one of the beauty about doing these, what I do and why I like it, you can actually create an entire train together. So how it looked like in the old days. Because nowadays you have like these rainbow trains, where like different sizes, different colors. It's not really how it looked like. Again, a simple third-class carriage taken apart, put them together. The Orient Express, I didn't make it wrong. But here I have as well a short animation. So definitely, this one is in the working as well, but here again it's just this elegant just movement of the mechanics at that time. And one thing in this as well, because they have two engines in it with different speed. So one of the motors probably slipped because of a track, so they're not synchronized. So it kind of gives it that feel of like, oh, that was kind of fun. And then little ones, so ones, this one goes even farther back to, I think, the 1910s. Here again, here I actually had the chance to take it complete. So see every single element in there. So even the benches. I think this one has every single wood slab added on as well. So yeah, I couldn't form a whole train because this machine just didn't like the world. See, the technology can't keep up with the old one. It's kind of interesting. And here put. So definitely if you like every single added on brake and the steam heat and everything. So the old technology definitely is much. Another fascinating things. Here is the so you have to work with meters and all these magenta lines up there are timing, so it moves that the wheels turn, and you have to link them together and then synchronize them so that it's like these two animations you saw. It looked like a spider web. There were about 15 or 16 of them. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
With that other one, you were the one that you did the animation of the bridge. It looked like the alligator one.
Right. Yeah.
It separate engines.
Yep.
That weren't mechanically connected. They were just kind of both working, trying to make it move.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, they had two separate engines. The first one you saw had two separate ones as well, but because of some of the railway lines are so steep, so when the tracks were wet, they have to put sand on the tracks to actually grab it. And then if the front took all the sand and the back was empty, you actually could see that the back wheels were spinning through. So they were, because the power, and then it slipped.
Yeah.
So that some of this is one of the ones I want to do when it takes off, and then the back just goes berserk and the front tries to pull, and then it has to coordinate together. It is just absolutely mind-blowing how they did it in the old days. So definitely a respect for. Yeah, because you have all the gearing on the side, and then because everything changes. Yeah, exactly. So it is. I tried to bring it in and kind of do a test but I have everything figured out to 2 little things, and it just kind of like blows up and goes all over, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't look right. So I could show you how it doesn't work. Actually, I have it. I might have it up here. I could probably start it up. Yeah, let's see how time goes. Speaking of wine or beer, it's definitely kind of interesting how things kind of went through in time. Old wine card from 1918. No, none of them is existing. So it's actually a shame. They tried to rebuild them, but it just doesn't look the same. There's a history from back home, a talk to. Did write a book about it. 2 carriages. I have one with open barrels. So this is an Italiano. And in the back, it's the same carriage, but it is boxed in. There's a good reason for that. There were some village idiots going. They had a power hand. I drilled a hole in the barrel and they started in the wine. So it ended up to be that bad that like half the train was empty. She got to its destination. So they had to save it, or actually bring the Swiss army and the police force, and they had to guard it. But the quicker one put them in the enclosed.
Were those people that
Oh, this is wine bottles.
Oh, they
Yes.
people.
Dude, the leprechauns knew that there's wine trains back home. Yeah, actually. What am I saying? No, this piece actually, it's called The Wine Thief Got Away. So yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, it's really kind of neat to connect with people back home as well who knew of granddad or who actually was working and had stories about that, and really can. I would not have been able to create that with a gentleman, and he's from the French part as well, which made things a little bit harder. Plans to get off these carriages was not even possible anymore. So it was really all just pair hit and miss and take it on from an Italian one. So this is actually the Italian carriage here. So it's not the Swiss one. But yeah, that's the story behind these 2. This is actually a different one as well. That's another one. But yeah, there's still a few of them around. But they're really rare now as well.
Are they still in use, the couple that are around?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There are actually 2 of them in Basel. They're side by side. But they're in the middle of the train yard, and there's a reason why the people can't get there. Or, yeah, you get arrested. In the background, what I put in as a little kick is the Trans-Europe Express. The old 1960s, really noble way to travel. Kraftwerk, does anyone know Kraftwerk? The album cover, Trans-Europe Express. It's actually the German one as well. I don't have that one included. But they were going all over, so they were running until like in the 70s. This one as well, there were 5 of them. I remember seeing these still in service as a kid, but there's only one left. One of them is a parts, and the other 3 are actually scrapped in the meantime. Train station of Basel, so it's definitely one thing. It's nice back home as well. They keep the old things alive, so the old stations, they're still there if they didn't burn down. What I did here, I went and recreated this station as well. That was an early rendering of recreating that, and here we actually see that this, which was converted into the stationary transformer. And I have a 3rd one that was in the 70s, was a color theory on wheels, I guess. A lot of times they didn't have the idea of how dirty does a color get when it's exposed for a long time. So they actually did a test on the carriage, run them around, and then picked which color works best for the new color schemes itself. So it's kind of nice. This one, I did read about it. I never saw an image. So I was like, so why not? I'm going to recreate that one. And it's kind of neat to actually see that as well. This is the mechanical. So this is like 1918. This is how I start up with more the mechanical elements. So I actually want to get more into that as well for the last few images. This is how my model looks like. So the gears of the inside of one of these engines. So pretty much every bolt, every nut is included in those. These as well, when it actually in the animation, the inside runs as well, so don't ask me why I do that, you're not going to see it anyways. But definitely kind of really want to create so pretty much any element and recreate it how it looked like. This is another I have in the works right now, so I can start kind of branching out. I run out of things to do in Switzerland, I guess. So I'm going to get more into the German part as well. This one, so pretty much every unit has a nickname back home as well. So this one was called Donald Duck, and he was stolen. And I'm like, so what's going on here? So then they took pictures of it as documentary, and they started cleaning the graffiti. And there were so many layers of graffiti on that train, so it was totally covered, that it actually preserved the paint. So it was perfect. And what the gang around in, I think it was in Nuremberg, and they had a who lived around this area knew do not go in their area, otherwise you might gonna get hurt really bad. So everyone stayed away from that. So this is actually kind of like interesting that graffiti saved a unit for once. So it's kind of interesting. I wish I could find that article in English, but it's German. But yeah, so that was kind of an interesting aspect of that as well. Okay, so what I have here as well is, I don't know if you have sound or not, but okay. But this is the trailer I produced. I did a full animation of about 15 minutes of that for the anniversary. So on the 5th, it should speak for itself. This is a teaser. So we always have kind of the joke as well that it was actually the people from Zurich came and burned it down because of this. I don't know why, because for some reason there's always something between Zurich and Lucerne. It's like, so there was jealous and something, so it's kind of funny. And then I'm gonna start up. I think I should have that steam engine so I can actually show you how the whole thing is rigged. But to just kind of like give it an end. It's actually goodbye as well to the overnight hotel train. Don't I have the one with? Shoot. Nope, I don't have the one with the animation. But this, well, it's actually kind of neat to see as well, kind of to see how the whole thing is built to the wireframe. That's still in the working part. But, so pretty much all of the, oh, I have the mouse here, okay. So each single piece, it's actually good that I brought that one with. I don't know if you actually see a lot. Because yeah, there's every single bolt. Let's actually see. Like that one here. That's one little piece of the whole model. So everything really has to be like free moving, like in the real mechanics, because otherwise they're gonna grab each other and then it doesn't coordinate the proper way. So yeah, pretty much any single piece. And yeah, this one side is still bare. So the controller, so the reason why the mechanical or why the engine, if you ask the, was it you, Tobias, who asked about the steam engine, why it's harder? No, it was you, right. But it's one of, this guy here has to shift up and down, so that actually tells you to go forwards and backwards. Of course, if I move this one down, I'm just going to move it straight.
So it's like a cam almost.
That, yeah, it has to coordinate over, so that if you move this one over, it's going to drive this one over here as well, which is connected to another can. So everything, it's kind of like really has to be free moving.
They're
so that.
They're all cast in the machine.
Yep.
And it was all iron.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
Wow.
So so every piece, it's really built after blueprints. So I got the blueprints in for that engine as well. And I figured as soon as I have this one running, then I can go ahead and do all the other ones. Usually the first one's the hardest one, especially like if you have to, or if you really lock everything together so that it is actually functional. So this one I can put on a sidetrack as a monument for right now. So it is not running. A church type with its big open dome. So that's another kind of interesting thing about. So yeah, pretty much anything has a nickname back home. Yeah, I should have. So yeah, this one actually should show as well the science project with all the parameters and everything linked together. Oh yeah, there it is. Sweet. Okay. So here, just in wireframe, I actually see that on the bottom I have two viewports open. So this is the camera view, and in a short time we should see that train coming into the camera. So it is really, I guess I should activate the right viewport. There it is. So yeah, here it's, again, every single carriage is built after plans. Some of them are functional. You can open the doors and it can actually, you could recreate the scenario, how it worked. These guys in the background is a tiny little shed along the line. These are just the little things I put together as well because they start disappearing as well. So, yeah, see how, yeah, you kind of saw it going by here. Yeah, actually. Never know which direction Oh, you see all these little boxes around it? So these are the ones they actually drive everything. So each of them has to be coordinated. So I'm going to actually run it here so you kind of can see. It's a little bit, if you could make it slower. Yeah, so we see it a little bit better. So they have to synchronize with the right ratio, that when it spins once per revolution, that everything is locked together. And how the parameter looks like, it's like that one here. It's like a monkey tail. This is my dummy 17. Yeah. So don't look at that Yvette, I didn't name anything, so I can't find it. I always tease my students about naming things. But this is how the background, how it actually looks like. So each of these purple lines has a connection between a moving and a rotating part, so that they're synchronized together. The only thing I couldn't figure out yet that they actually can make it go around turns, and it still works. Because as soon as it changes direction, it kind of screws everything up. So there's still a lot to do, there's still a lot to explore. I still have time to get more gray hair. As I get bald, I'm fine. But one of the probably smallest ones I did, it's actually this one right here.
Think about how you can share this, maybe with some schools or museums or something like that?
Actually, it's my dream to become a historian. I just got a better machine, so I can do better animations and quicker animations, or crisper. I want to start kind of imitating the video weight in it as well, so that it really has his old feeling to it as well. No, but it's definitely...
Like you could create a 3D environment that a kid can control with a joystick, or just something really simple and just explore.
Right, yeah.
I think it'd be really special.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the whole idea between... I think I might have one here where I kind of how this guy is still going in the background. Good God. Nope. I think this one. So this is I'm working on a hump yard as well. It's actually for a friend of mine. He's a Unimog fan. So I'm not doing only cars. It's a 1960 Unimog, where this guy is actually gonna unload beer cars from the 60s. So it's gonna be another whole animation. I did a circus train. So actually I recreated the 1920 circus train with all 52 carriages with the elephant car and everything. So I got in touch with the National Circus back home, and they sent me prints. So there's definitely a lot of, there we are. So see the switch here. So the switch box I showed you with these levers, it's going to be synced. So if I grab one of these levers and I pull it down, that means that this guy here, I can't remember. Oh, it's gonna switch as well. So that it changes the way, and this one as well, it's synchronized. So when I turn this one, that it will give you the different where it goes. So here as well, details like that, see the arrows, that means that the switch it's turned, that it actually goes that direction. As if I turn it into the other direction. Oh, not nice. Now we see the rectangle, now we see that it goes straight. So now the idea is that, but if somebody sees it and they want the second one, I'm going to change it around. So it's not everyone, it's exactly the same. But eventually, if I have a better archive, definitely, I have a few animations where, yeah, it's just still images, but then getting the whole environment around it I'm sure as soon as I have a bigger archive and share it, I have a way to share it, upload it on the website. There's maybe the possibility out there, so who knows.
Well, I can just imagine the enormous number of hours that goes into each
Yeah.
one of these. And
Oh yeah.
to be just doing it as your passion without a end result coming back
Yeah.
to you. And to be sharing this.
Right, yeah.
You know, because I'm sure there's not a few of you out there doing this.
Actually, I haven't seen anyone who really. There's nobody as crazy as I am, I guess. Right. Yes.
Do you feel that with the advancement in technology like this, that maybe, like how you're using it to restore your heritage of your hometown, and the railway that's now becoming obsolete in some areas but not in others, do you feel that this could be a way to revitalize our history as a whole for a new generation?
I think so, yeah. Because a lot of the old images, they are kind of start. I just hear the PVR that the old music library starts going down because they lose quality.
Lose quality,
Yeah,
Just
so it's
everything
definitely, as time goes by, I actually just thought about that because I have like 2 terabytes of data. And I'm like, I have to print every single piece out and save that somewhere. Because if that goes up in flames, I don't know what I'm going to do. So solar flare, wait for it. There goes, yeah, it's like, oh, start from scratch. But no, I think there's definitely a way to kind of bring that back alive, yeah. Yes?
How did you end up in Portland?
Plane. No, I used to work for a Swiss firm, and I got a company transfer, and I was still in mechanical engineering. And they have the headquarters for the North American market here in Portland.
So that's your day job as a mechanical
It
engineer?
used to be. After 15 years, it got too boring. It couldn't be creative. If you tried to be too creative, it ended up on the scrapyard, or the welder had to come by. So about why isn't there, or why is because the entire Swiss network was already electric powered by the mid-20s. So the steam engines were putting out of service really easy, and it was just well advanced at the early time. So that it was actually, they didn't have to do the documentaries because it was already on the scrapyard before they even realized. I'm like, oh, how are we going to do that now? So it was like a time warp in an early stage. So, I mean, there's a lot of footage, just images, but just no animations of it. And it's kind of like one thing, it's lost when you don't see the thing moving. And I mean, it's, some of them, they have one of the engines had the nickname the vacuum cleaner because it sounded like a Hoover going by, it was so loud. Then they had one called the Chiquita because it was light built, and when it was fully loaded, that it actually bent through. And the colors were in purple and orange. I might have one of these in here, I don't know. But yeah, no, there's a lot of, and I mean, there's a lot of nicknames, like there's a Mirage, like the French plane, because whenever it took off, it was so loud. And it's like one of the, yeah, Chiquita, there we go. I don't have a rendering, shoot. Yeah, I just have the file. But, so everyone's like, the reason I was like, the reason why I started up with the cow on the side of the engine, or the Swiss cheese car, it's that, it's like everyone knows the nicknames of all the engines, whether you're into the railways or not. We just grow up with it. There's one called the Butcher by Request, because it had so many unsecured crossings that there was an accident on a daily basis. So they called it as the Butcher by Request because there was always an accident along the line. And yeah, everyone was like, oh, it's Hundemetzger. So it's just everyone knew exactly which train or where you're going. So it's pretty interesting as well. It's because it's so small and it's just around you that it's definitely still parts of that stays alive and probably will still stay alive for quite a bit. Yes?
Obviously, these kind of represent a lot to you as far as preserving something that's old. They represent kind of an old way of life, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you have considered or that you think of in the same light as like the train system and something that's evolved somewhat recently historically, like in the last 100 years? Something that you feel like the same way about or have maybe potentially the same passion for?
You mean right now or?
Yeah, something that
for-
you just like have the same kind of like, I don't know, ships or, you know what I mean, or...
It is definitely more the I'm gonna focus more on the architecture around it as well.
Animations, how you have everything tied. Do you even animate kind of non-visual parts, like such as internal parts to an engine?
Yeah. I know,
Does
it's...
that kill you in terms of rendering time? Or I mean, is there a way to pull that out so you could just render out the visual effects?
For some of them, yes. Like for the big one you saw going by at the very beginning, yeah, I had to actually take some out. But other ones, and the engine, I had to take that one out in the animation. It did not like life at all.
How do you tie your files together? Like, you know, and since there's some are 10 files, are you able to render, can you link like 1 to 2 to 3, and then just render all of them, or how can you manage?
The way I have them linked, like for the train station itself, or also on train station, that I can hide or make them invisible to the camera. So it takes up because there I did the entire part, so everything is even on the outside. It's, otherwise it would be
Yeah.
hours and hours. Yes.
I know there's been some animation. There's that one animated movie, I think it's called Hugo or something, but there was like a train, it was like a Christmas movie. So you
No.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's you guys.
Hugo, there's a movie
Oh.
where like boy was on a train and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I think Leica might have done the animation for that.
Okay.
Is there like a difference of the way that you go about, so when you're documenting things, you're documenting the way they move as opposed to just like making a shell and then making it like
Exactly,
go
yeah.
forward?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yours is more of like a historical documentation.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think they probably have them done in Maya, so it's a much smaller model, so the render time is quicker. But yeah, definitely, they use different texturing as well as I do. And they just have whatever needs to be shown. Maybe they just model the front and the rear side, it's not there. So it's definitely just totally whatever we
It's
see.
just like flat, it's like flat.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I teach the design visualization classes, I always tell like, so set the camera up first and model everything you see. Who cares what's in behind us? And what do? I just built the whole city, it's just great. But, so yeah. But no, usually it's just you model what you see.
There's a warehouse in northwest Portland. I haven't been there for about 5 years or 6 years, but there was an old Hungarian man that
Oh.
would make, he had a full machine shop, and he would make steam engines that were this long from scratch, every
Single piece
part.
and brass.
And they were oil burning instead of
Oh,
coal,
wow.
which was the original, but they
Yeah.
were literally,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. But
Yeah.
he had a very similar mentality.
Oh yeah. See, I mean, it's kind of a dream to do that in brass. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the models. Now all I need to do is to actually get them into a hands-on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so actually, yeah, it came about a half year through mind. I'm like, ooh, 3D printer. So
I feel like you could get a grant for that. You know, like you can ask for help.
yeah, like
Get people to
startup
pay
or
you
something.
to
Yeah.
3D print these things.
I mean, I have like 5 trains already on the wait list when people hear about it. I'm like, so, ooh, can you do that? I'm like, oh, I have this on build already. All I need is a 3D printer. It's like, okay. I'm like, so no, it's I see there is something there that the need is there, and it's definitely a possibility. So, but yeah, no, that would be. I mean, the wheels and everything would be made out of brass, so that you could put the motor in and actually could run it around. So yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So one of these days, I'm gonna have my own model railway company. I'm gonna build all of them for myself. Questions? Right. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. We return on April 8th with Matt Wagner of Hellion Gallery, and his talk is called "This Is My Day Job." For his event at Hand Supply Curiosity Club, Wagner will discuss the DIY ethos that has propelled the growth of Hellion Gallery and his experiences working with the independent artists on an international level. Using pages from both of his books and other imagery, he'll provide examples of how artists can create a sustainable career path and how he encourages everyone to become patrons in the artist community. So it should be a really good one. Let's have another round of applause for Severin.
Thank you.
Still a couple of beers, and if you have more questions that you're afraid to ask in front of people, you can. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.